Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and welcome back to another Monday. Hopefully you had a relaxing weekend. Joining me, as always, is my talented and beautiful co-hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome to all of our listeners. I think I have a pretty cute joke for autumn. Why are trees so carefree and easygoing?
Because they're so care-leaf. What?
Because every fall they let loose.
I like mine. Like care leaf. They have leaves. So for new listeners out there, I'll give you a quick rundown of what we do here on this channel. Voyse scours Reddit for stories that she finds interesting, funny, and dramatic, and we give our perspectives on them. And we look forward to hearing yours as well, even if they don't align with ours.
Yes, it makes it interesting food for thought. Guess what, Timstradamus?
Why?
We have some shout-outs to make. I would like to welcome Nikki Duval and Late for the Tea to the Tea Club.
Is that really the name?
Yeah, it's Late for the Tea.
Welcome in, love and appreciate you guys.
Nikki Duval, secret agent.
She's really going to make a name for herself. So, Voyse,
Damus?
what is this delicious tea that I'm smelling?
Well, I made you a black tea that has pineapple, raspberry, and passion fruit in it.
Oh, my goodness. Have we had this before?
We have.
This is crazy.
I think I added just a little bit more passion fruit in there for you, though.
I can taste the love. It's 10 out of 10.
Oh, perfect. Because who knows what these stories might have? Will it have a little love? Will it have a little passion? Or will it just be dramatic?
It never has love. That's not how these work.
Anyways, for any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below. For our first story, am I the a-hole for not being open to the idea of changing my first name like my foster parents suggested? I'm 16 male, a foster kid. I was taken from my mom 3 years ago because she's not doing good mentally, and it wasn't considered safe for me to live with her. My current foster parents are the ones I hope to stay with until I turn 18. They're the best I've had, and I bounced around a lot, especially in my first year. But there's something that has come up, and now I'm wondering. So my name's Ryder. My foster parents don't outright say they hate it, but I think I saw my foster mom cringe at my name before. My foster dad asked me when we first met what my middle name was, and I guess that wasn't a name they liked either. So they call me Rye, and I think sometimes they try to say my name's Ryan instead of Ryder. A month ago, they asked me if I ever considered changing my first name when I turn 18 to something more sophisticated sounding. They even said Ryan would be an idea since it's so close and they share a nickname. I told them I liked my name and didn't ever think of changing them. They didn't say any more then, but a week later they told me they had thought a lot about my future and they worried my name would be something that holds me back. My foster mom said it sounds so lewd when said fast, and they felt I deserved better than that. I told them it didn't bother me and I liked that my mom had chosen my name. That was the end of it again. And then last week they brought it up again, and they showed me these articles on the importance of a name, of naming babies for adult life instead of being cute or fun as kids. They told me they couldn't make me do it, which I knew, but they would like me to strongly consider it so I could have the chance at a professional future and being taken seriously. They said they would hate to see me passed over for jobs because of my name, and that they feel like a much older me won't find the name as cool as I do now. They asked if I trusted them, and I said yeah, and they said if I do, I should really give some thought to what I could change my name to that would be a better name for adult me. I told them I was really never going to be okay with that. I felt like it was a waste of time and would get me stuck with some name I wouldn't like. They asked why I was so okay with dismissing future me, and why could I not try when they were doing all they could to help me. I could tell it really got to them that I was still so against it. Am I the a-hole?
Well, what a sad story to start our day off with. I think our OP is 16.
Correct.
Been in the system for 3 years, unfortunately, I guess through his mother having mental health problems. She no longer could keep her son.
Correct. Although I would just like to add there that from what OP says, they actually miss their mom. And it sounds like they want to go ahead and live with her after they're 18.
Mental health problems don't make you a bad person. I'm sorry that it's gotten to a point where she cannot take care of her son. Not sure where the father is in this story, but it sounds like there was some dropping of the ball somewhere, which is why he got put into the system at 13. He says he's been going around now for the better part of 3 years until he bumped into this new family. And he said that they are the best that he's had. So you can see this push and pull of how this 16-year-old is trying to make sure that he stays with them, trying to make them happy, when that should never be his objective in that situation. It's disgusting that these two foster parents are pushing past the boundary more than once. It's okay to bring it up if you want. Hey, look, we have a concern, even though I think that concern is very unfounded. There are a lot of people with varying different names all over the place. For you to have a judgment or to think other people will have a judgment based off of getting a job, I think is a little outdated.
It just sounds like they are judgmental people.
Yes. And Ryder sounds like a perfectly fine name.
It sounds so adventurous.
There are a lot of people that have named their children Ryder for the last several years. It's a very popular name now. So I don't understand where that's coming from. They said they cited articles to the 16-year-old about how your name will help with getting you into the profession that you're supposed to be in your future. Those articles are such a slice of inaccurate information because it doesn't take into account things that you should. Where you live, the culture that you're in. There's so many different things that don't just pop up on a flat number. And to not take that into account, just to read some article published by whatever outlet, whether they lean left or right or middle, it doesn't matter. You're not taking into account where the source of information is coming from. You're just simply going, I saw this number and this is what it said, so you have to abide by this because it fits my narrative. There's a lot more than just black and white. These parents don't see that. They only see what they want from their adopted child. No, I don't think they've adopted him yet.
No, he's just in the foster care system.
How dare you take someone in that position, because there is a definite power imbalance here. You can almost see where they're going, and they haven't said it though, right? They didn't say, look, you change your name or we get rid of you. That hasn't happened. But I can't blame a 16-year-old for being in that vulnerable spot and going, how do I make everyone happy so that I can keep continuing to stay someplace I think is safe?
And mind you, in the comment section, they said that they had some really bad experiences with other families, that they are not trying to go to another family because they don't want to go back to those bad experiences.
And that's where he's at. He's trying to juggle all of it. I think it's a gross situation that they've put him in, because you can almost see where they might be not maybe saying it, but there's definitely an implication of, hey, you're going to do what we say, or maybe we don't like you because your name's Ryder. That should be the last thing you're worrying about with a child. That was his given name. You asked him about it, and he said, I like my name. My mom gave it to me. How dare you try to erase something like that from him? So what is he asking that he's the a-hole for then?
He's asking if he's being the a-hole for not being open to the idea.
I think you've been more than open to it. You understood the question, you thought about it, and you gave your answer. How much more open can someone be? You gave reasonings as to why you're holding on to your name that was given to you by your mother, whom you love. That should have been the end of it. I hope that your foster parents learn what boundaries look like. You know, once is a accident or just a harmless question. Twice is a habit. I believe that. I'm not certain how you navigate that situation, because it isn't like you can just go and talk to your caseworker about what they're doing. I hope there is a way, but the problem is you start down that road and I can see where those two go, you're not worth our problems anymore. It's a very precarious situation that you are in, OP, and I do feel bad for you. I would just say, be firm about it. I mean, you have been. You said no, and that's, I hate when people can't just accept no.
It sounds like the only thing that our OP is caught up in dealing with is making them believe that they're going to get their way when they're not. And that's very sad that a kid has to learn to do that.
I would just say keep being firm on your no. The fact that they can't understand it is their problem.
So the consensus on Reddit is our OP's not the a-hole. Redditors were of a mind to say that it's not one's place to force or coerce someone into changing their name in the first place. That is a boundary that once someone says no, it really is just no. There were some Redditors that were telling OP that they should really contact their social worker. But as I've stated before, OP doesn't want to do that because they're afraid that they might be put with a worse foster family. And they have stated before that that first year was really bad, and there's a lot of bad foster families out there. Now, I think that a nice way a Redditor put forward is that this is your name. Only you're being called that. You respond to it, and it may even be a name that your partner and future kids will know you as. Don't feel bad for holding your ground. If anything, they should feel bad for trying to change your view and trying to do it forcefully, because it might have started off as a simple question and maybe a concern, but now it's starting to be an agenda on their end.
100%.
Now, I will say there are so many people that have different names in the world. They have common ones, uncommon ones, clever ones, and even funny ones. Some people tie positive memories to it, and unfortunately, negative memories to it. In the end, it's up to the person what they want, to keep it or to let it go. That's truly only for OP to decide. When it comes to dealing with individuals that unfortunately have more power in your life than you do, it's one of those survival games, truly is. And I feel so wholeheartedly towards our OP that they are stuck in this situation and learning it at 16 rather than feeling as if they can be honest about their feelings. The one thing that I can say that Reddit did was they said, look, your stance and your viewpoint on your name, that's your own. You're not wrong on it. Do what you have to do to make sure that you are safe first. But know that when you're 18, you do not need to change your name. It can be something that they ask 1,000,001 times. Honestly, for me, and this might just be my survival of the fittest sort of feeling, I would tell them that I would keep their thoughts in mind when it comes to this, and then probably just not do it. It would be much easier to make someone believe that they're potentially going to get their way and then just move past it, because the only reason why I feel like they're still gung-ho on it is because our OP said no, rather than I'll just think about it.
While I do agree with that,
it's a
my
toxic
fear
notion too.
is that once you've given the inch, they'll start changing other things they want now because they've gotten you to agree to one thing. If someone can push one boundary, they're not going to stop with just that one.
I think for me, all I keep thinking is our OP is 16 and his safety's first.
Which is very true. I cannot fault him for just saying, look, I'll change the name, and then when he's 18, walk out the door. But just know, those also come with consequences as well. You might be getting that little thing where they go, well, now that we've changed the name, let's start changing how you talk. Let's change the mannerisms because we want to make sure you get a professional job. That's not a healthy place to be in when you start to change people.
That's very true as well. I think one of my biggest flags when it comes to how our OP was describing the situation was the fact that after the third time, when he said no, 2 times before then, they asked if I trusted them. And I said, yeah. When someone, after you say no, or that you've put a clear boundary, says, don't you trust me? It makes me feel as if they're very manipulative people. And every part of me just gets so up in arms when it comes to that.
They're using the relationship as the collateral.
Thank you. That's perfect way to actually summarize that. Well, let's go ahead and go to our next story. And truly, OP, I wish you the best of luck. Honestly, don't lose who you are. And it seems like you absolutely love your mother. I wish you and your mother the best, especially when you guys get together again. Well, let's go to our next story and see what you think about potentially postponing a wedding. Am I the a-hole for considering postponing my wedding after I saw how my fiance talks about me in his group chat? Hi, everyone. I hope you guys give me some insight and help with this situation. Me, 24 female, and my soon-to-be husband, 24 male, have been together since we were both 17. He was my first everything.
Bueno.
First boyfriend, first kiss. He took my virginity, literally my first for everything. He proposed after I graduated nursing school, and I've never been happier. I know everyone says this, but there's literally been 0 problems and 0 red flags. I wanted to play this game he has on his iPad because I've become borderline addicted to it. As I was playing it, I saw a text from his group chat pop up. I ignored it. Then another one came up with one of his friends saying I'd marry a BJQ. I got confused, so I decided to open it. This group chat is only men. Some are my childhood friends too. And we hang out with these people multiple times a week. My husband sent a pros and cons list about me. I copied it, sent it to me, deleted the evidence. Here's the list. Pros: sexually eager and blowjobs whenever I want. Big tits, big ass, big thighs, and a flat stomach. Doesn't let herself become frumpy and ugly. Funny and smart. Good cook and baker. Cons: has a lot of animals. Doesn't always keep our place clean. Laughs too loud. Vulgar and crude. Has bad breath in the mornings. Spends too much time at the gym. Is the list that bad? It made my stomach drop, and I've just felt this impending dread ever since discovering it. The cons aren't that bad, but it feels so objectifying with the pros list. And as I scrolled up and read more, the worse it got. He talked to them about how he thinks I lied about being a virgin when we met, 'cause I'm too eager in wanting to try too many things. And even bragged about how he has a folder on his phone of videos and photos of me and us. Everybody dared him to send it, but he said no. But how can I be sure he didn't send it anyways and deleted the evidence? He even talked about how there was a week he tested to see how many blowjobs he could get out of me by simply asking for them, and decided to stop because he started to feel bad. There was more, but I can't write it out. I feel so gross and sad. I talk about him in such a different way. It feels like he only sees me as a sex object, and I see him as my other half. I've opted out of friend hangouts and have distanced myself from him. He's noticed and has been trying to find out what's wrong, but I'm not even ready to tell him. I want to postpone our wedding until we can figure this out, or if it's even salvageable. Am I overreacting? Please, any and all advice is welcome.
What a messy situation this is. She said that they've been together since high school.
17 years old and they're 24 now.
Okay. So they've been together quite a little bit.
Since they were 17.
So what, 7 years now?
Yes.
About to get married. She says that there are no red flags. And it's funny because she had to quantify that. Everyone says there's no red flags till you see red flags. Yes, that's how it works. A lot of us can be blinded by love.
Or they could just be very good at hiding things.
Very true. That can happen even for 7 years. So before we go any further into the story, I do want to clarify something. She was given permission by her fiance to use that iPad. Now, normally when I hear about couples either snooping or going through each other's texts or phones, I will always sit on the side of you never should have been there to begin with. Taking someone's things and looking through them doesn't make for a healthy relationship.
It sounds like you don't have any trust there anyway, so why would you want to be in that relationship?
You're only making things worse for yourself. Long term anyway, in that relationship. Or beyond anyway, because it's not a healthy mindset to be in when you can't just ask someone outright the questions. But that is not this situation. She got permission to use that iPad because she wanted to play whatever game caught her fancy. The first notification pops up, she leaves it alone. The next one pops up and she sees something that sends up suspicion. I don't think anyone wants to be on anybody's pros and cons list, especially in that manner.
Especially put on blast when it comes to people that they know mutually.
I mean, I think she said it. Some of them are childhood friends that she's had.
Correct.
Can I blame her for then at that point start to look through all of the messages to see how bad this actually does get? It's pretty bad. I don't think I would ever share a pros and cons list about our relationship with anyone outside of our relationship. And then the thing about the BJs and getting to see how many he could get in a day or a week, I'm not certain, but it really doesn't matter. It's gross altogether.
He said in a week. And then he started to feel bad because I'm guessing she loves him enough to say, yeah, I want to show you how much I love you. And then he started to feel bad about it. That's, oof.
I've always said this to friends, acquaintances, family. You can tell how much somebody or how they love their partner by the way they speak about their partner when they aren't around. And I think it would even give me pause if I want to get married to someone like that. It's an interesting standard you guys are living by. I don't know if I've ever met anyone that didn't have morning breath. She spends too much time at the gym. She cares about her health. That's none of your business.
The thing that I hate is she doesn't let herself become frumpy and ugly.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there. That's just, all right. Well, you know his values through these lists, through how he's speaking. It's interesting that he's been able to hide it for the last 7 years, because normally those type of slip-ups happen. I guess there was a reason why you needed to borrow that iPad and see the things you saw. Everything happens for a reason.
That's very true.
I don't believe in coincidences. She's asking if she's the a-hole for what?
Wanting to postpone the wedding after seeing these talks.
No. You're not the a-hole for wanting to reassess the relationship on the discovery of very interesting evidence. I guess my only bit of advice is postponing a wedding is hard. Everything's normally already paid for up front to even have the venue and everything. So I don't know, when are they getting married? Do they ever clarify how many months we're out? Are we a couple of days? I guess that doesn't really matter, because if you are seeing that red flags are popping up, you need to stop, even if it's a day before. Stop the wedding. Postpone it. If the relationship's important enough, broach it with your fiance. You said you took pictures, I'm certain, and you sent it to him already?
Not to him. It looks like she took possibly screenshots and sent it to herself.
This would be a good time to have a sit-down conversation. That's a good place to start. And then after that, please get into couples counseling or individual. Start really understanding what's going on, because you really shouldn't be doing that to each other with each other's friends. So, no, you're not the a-hole.
Our consensus on Reddit is our OP's not the a-hole. For many Redditors, it was, girl, get the hell out of Dodge. A partner who is willing to divulge intimate information and essentially dehumanize and humiliate them to others for entertainment is not worth being with. Many offered legal advice saying that in certain countries, someone sharing intimate videos with others that doesn't have the consent of all parties is grossly illegal. Our OP responded with an edit and said the response has been overwhelming. I have never used Reddit before and opted to use my friend's account. And wow, I really wasn't expecting this. I appreciate all of your guys' advice and input. Truly, this means a lot. I'll try to update when I can, but again, thank you all. Now, our OP actually did give us an update. So let me go ahead and read that now. They said, I wanted to say thank you to everyone that gave me their advice and input, and also a thank you to my friend for letting me post on her Reddit account. I've never even used Reddit, so this whole experience has been wild. She suggested I use it due to her using it, and told me she got a lot of great legal advice as well as emotional support. So again, thank you. Anyways, my soon-to-be ex left for a work-related trip and won't be returning until the 7th. I decided to go through his iPad even more, and the things I found were absolutely appalling. I can't even believe I considered staying. You all opened my eyes, and what I found really solidified it. I searched the group chat more. They didn't talk about me a whole lot, but every time they did, it was so degrading and wildly inappropriate. I found out it was my soon-to-be ex that coined me as the BJ Queen, or BJQ. I was right. He has sent videos of me. It was just videos of me performing oral, but still, I wanted those to stay between us. I also found his ex and Reddit account. It's nothing but gangbang porn and cuck fetish porn. All the porn is one girl and multiple men. I don't want to read too much into that, but with how everything is falling, I'm scared he was going to try to share me with the men in this group chat, which, yes, I am open-minded, but I am firm on no threesomes and no sharing of any sort. He knows this. I also found out he calls me Butterface. He constantly complains that I don't lean into my femininity and dress more girly. He said he hates my tattoos and piercings and said they're excessive. There's so much more, and I'm just devastated. I don't even know where to begin. I don't want to tell my family because I'm so humiliated and sad. Do I collect evidence from his iPad and take it to a lawyer? Do I start moving out while he's away? I'm just so lost right now. Thank you to everybody that helped me open my eyes.
This story got way worse. That Butterface comment was pretty rough.
Well, our OP actually provided a little bit of an update in the comment section where they said that they are actually going to the police station with all the evidence showing that he shared intimate videos without consent, and to find out what she needs to do in her area when it comes to anything remotely legal. She changed all her passwords, screenshotted and sent everything to herself that she found, regarding her, has a meeting with a lawyer lined up, and is moving her stuff into a storage while she stays with a friend.
Well, when I suggested go to couples counseling and all that stuff, that was before I understood how deep this well ran.
I mean, for me, it would come to when you're starting to realize the hidden character of your partner, because this is a full other side that she was not prepared for. Not only that, but to actually see that he shared intimate videos and that it's essentially just of her. It doesn't show his face. It's just of her. It definitely shows where he stands when it comes to the dehumanizing, objectifying, and humiliating aspect of his partner. Mind you, everybody's got their kinks, especially concerning corn. That's their prerogative. But when your partner already wonders who you are in their eyes, it would make you wonder if you had other alternative purposes later on when you feel as if you're trapped in a marriage.
Again, you were meant to find that information when you did. Now he's about to find out what the legal system's going to do. Good luck.
Good luck.
I know a lot of places, not just in America, a lot of places are starting to crack down on that kind of stuff.
Oh, yes. Well, let's go on to our next story and see what you think about a stepmother that's having some problems with childcare. Am I the a-hole for telling my child's stepmother to grow up and stop asking a teenager for support? I, 39 female, have 2 children, Kimmy, 14 female, and a 9 male, and share custody with their father, Dave. Kimmy is starting high school soon, and her school sent a list of their extracurriculars. I want my children to be academically inclined and join clubs to meet people. I told Kimmy to pick some clubs, and as of right now, she picked out 10, which we are definitely going to shorten down. Kimmy sent a list of clubs to her father so he could help her. He didn't respond, and instead, I got a call from Dave's wife, Amy, a little later. Amy asked me if Kimmy was really going to join all of those clubs, and I said not all, but probably some of them. Amy followed by asking if Kimmy could only join one of the clubs on her list, which confused me. I asked why. Amy explained that she has to go to work soon and she really needs someone to take care of her kids. She was hoping that Kimmy would be able to go to their house straight after school and take care of them. Amy has 3 kids under 13 and recently had a baby with Dave. Kimmy has ADHD, which makes it hard for her to care for her own needs. I already feel extremely uncomfortable leaving her with 4 kids that young, unattended. Amy didn't even mention transportation and how Kimmy would get there. I told her no. This upset Amy. She told me that Kimmy is a part of her family too, and as a family, they all need to chip in, and according to her, Kimmy should chip in by babysitting. She ranted on, giving me a sob story as to how she was struggling already with Dave working, how hard it was to be a mom to 4 kids who depend on her so much, and how expensive childcare is nowadays. I told her no, and why I was uncomfortable, to which she just reiterated her story. This happened twice. By this time, I said no 3 times, and she was still asking. I thought it was clear that no meant no, not no and ask again later. I interrupted her and told her no is my final answer, and she's honestly pathetic to ask a 14-year-old for support, and it sounds like she needs to grow up instead of relying on children to pick up her slack. As you would expect, Amy and Dave are upset at me, which I don't really mind. My only issue is that when I told my sister, she thought I was being cruel, which is making me rethink things. Am I the a-hole? And let me go ahead and provide some edits from our OP. Edit 1. A common question I'm being asked is what custody looks like. My kids go to their fathers 1 week every month and stay with me for the rest. But there are times where they stay at their fathers longer than expected with my permission. For instance, the kids stayed a couple weeks at their fathers for the summer. Sometimes they stay an extra few days, but custody is officially 3/4 me and him 1/4, with me being their primary caregiver. Edit 2. A lot of you guys are asking about Amy's kids. The oldest is around my son's age, albeit a bit older, and I literally have no idea if their father is helping them or if they have the same father, because it's none of my business, and those are not at all my kids. Edit 3. While I'm very glad a lot of you fellow millennials like the Babysitter Club, can you please stop using it as a reference? I've read some ridiculous comments on this post, but using fictional 12-year-olds who acted like teenagers as a reason for my child to babysit are one of the most ridiculous ones I've seen. That's like if I used Aladdin to prove why my kid should get a genie. Edit 4. Additionally, I don't think struggling moms should be bashed, but they should be treated like humans and need to know when boundaries are being crossed. Dave and I have been co-parenting for a while, so there was a time when I was in Amy's shoes and wondering what I would do with my kiddos. A thought that did not cross my mind was asking a minor to unwillingly drop all of their interests. There's a difference between setting boundaries and knowing my child can't take on a responsibility and simply wanting to put a struggling mother down just because it was another Tuesday. Am I the a-hole?
Well, it sounds like she fielded a lot of questions and a lot of mine got answered through that as well. And you kind of have to ask yourself, because look, if you come from a big family, which I have, unfortunately, what ends up happening for the eldest is if you come from a broken home, or if both parents are working, or whatever circumstances where a parent cannot be present in the home, the eldest normally ends up having to take on that responsibility. A lot of your interests go out the door. Amy is the stepmom, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Amy looks at life like that. No matter what, if you're the eldest and you're old enough to legally do it, you're going to do it because you're a part of this family. A lot of us have been put in those type of situations. The way I look at it today is I would never put our eldest through that. I would never say, hey, you're going to watch your baby sister while we go and do things on a daily basis when I know you're already struggling with, I think you said ADHD?
Correct.
And that's just one kid. We're talking about 4. And one's a toddler or a legit baby.
Sounds like legit baby.
Now, you're allowed to help out when you want to. If the 14-year-old has time on her hands and she's going, look, you're in a pinch, I'll be babysitter. The sad part here is because of the way the time is broken out, she's probably already having to do that once every month for an entire week or however long they get stuck there, because she says sometimes it gets elongated depending on what they're doing. ROP is in the right mindset, I believe. Those kids from her ex's life are none of her children's or hers responsibility. Yes, would it be nice to have the help when you need it? Sure. Once in a while, pitching in to babysit, I think is more than acceptable. As long as Kimmy agrees to helping out and doing those things when she would like to, then that's more than acceptable in my mind. But you telling Kimmy that she cannot participate in the programs that the school is offering because you need a babysitter, not okay. Figure out a better solution. It sounds like you're going to have to start looking for a babysitter, Amy, or part-timing it. There are ways as an adult to make sure you can get what you need to get done. I think I heard she having to defend against people saying she's a struggling mother. Everyone is struggling, but you can figure out a way to make it all happen without putting one of your kids at odds. That's just my viewpoint on all of this. OP, you're not the a-hole.
The consensus on Reddit is that our OP's not the a-hole. Redditors were saying that as an adult, Amy needs to talk to her husband to properly plan for the long term that doesn't involve using a minor as a band-aid to fix this situation. And honestly, using a sob story to guilt someone to say yes is just plain old wrong. Now, I will say our OP gave me some good perspective, because for them, they even admitted when, as we know now, the custodial order is split 3/4 with our OP, 1/4 with dad, and she had to figure out childcare on her own before.
Happens to a lot of us. You can't use that as an excuse, though, to get what you want.
Exactly. It's unfair that things are difficult. And honestly, being a parent, especially right now with inflation and how hard it is, you're trying to figure out the right child care. You're hoping that you're sending your kids somewhere safe, that it's not someplace that will honestly hurt them more. Like, there's so many things a parent has to think about. However, I will put this probably as bluntly as I can for a lot of people, and this will probably rankle some feathers. Amy decided that she wanted 4 kids. If you can have fun in bed, you can definitely figure out as an adult what you need to do to take care of your kids. It is absolutely difficult, and I can honestly empathize with how hard it is to make the right choices for your children. What is not right for you to do is put that onus on other kids. And don't get me wrong, there may be times where for our son, it would be nice that he could watch his little sister once in a while.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have anything that's overlapping, if he would like to go ahead and help us, it would be great. I think doing that as a once in a while thing is very strong for family bonds in a healthy way. This is not healthy. Our OP, when she was talking to Amy, was saying that she wanted Kimmy to come home every day after school to watch 4 kids, knowing that she's got ADHD and is already difficult watching things for herself. I can just imagine if Amy was talking to her OP like this, how she's been talking to Kimmy.
Sure.
Because you're very right. She still spends a couple weeks in the summer, and she still spends that week, sometimes a few days more, with her father every month. That there wasn't some form of, well, this is your responsibility in the family.
Oh, there's definitely coaching going on. I'm certain. I guarantee you she's already been babysitting for an extended amount of time already.
Now, our OP actually provided us with a 5th edit.
Oh.
And I left this one for last because they said, my kids have also been talked to about this, and we're setting firm boundaries with stepmom and dad. So now that Amy has apparently ousted herself on probably what she's already done with Kimmy, OP is not having any of it.
Good. Well, the good thing here is this mom is now teaching her kids how to have boundaries and to say no. We need to teach our kids that. It's important. You can't walk around making everyone happy in life. You have to learn how to accept no. It's good for you.
Well, good luck to our mama. It's
Yeah.
going to be very difficult, but honestly, it sounds like she's got a good head on her shoulders and her children is first. Let's go to our last story and see what you think about an app called Sleeper. Today, I fucked up by downloading the fantasy football app Sleeper on my phone.
Oh, I'm like Sleeper.
This was my first time encountering this app, by the way, so I was confused, but let me go ahead and get with the story.
Fantasy football.
For context, for those who don't know, Sleeper is a fantasy football platform. I've run a fantasy football league with my high school and college best friends for 15 plus years, and that's how we all stay connected. My wife is very well aware of this and totally okay with it. This morning, I woke up to my wife angry with me and crying profusely. She's a sweet little fawn and seldom gets upset at anything, so I was extremely confused and alarmed at her behavior and asked what was wrong. She said, "I saw the app and the messages. I know you're cheating on me." I was so confused. She went on this whole tirade about how she's noticed I've been getting lots of notifications on my phone over the past few days in the mornings and thought I was being secretive. She looked at my phone this morning and saw a message on an app called Sleeper from someone named Riley, and the message read, "God, you're so sexy. My name, I love you." Riley is a burly, 6'4", happily married man with 2 kids and lives 4 states away. He is one of my childhood best friends and was at our wedding. She's met him. He was being facetious and responding to a picture I sent in our league chat of my wife and I with one of his favorite country artists this weekend when we ran into him. Our draft is tomorrow night, and I've been messaging the guys to get everything set up, and she knows this. In her defense, Riley goes by a nickname, so she probably didn't realize or remember that was his actual name. Apparently, what happened, she saw the Sleeper notification last night, jumped in her little friend group chat, and one of her particular friends is a bit of a shit-stirrer, to put it nicely. She messaged back and said, "Oh shit, known hookup app and might be for gay guys. Grindr, not Sleeper, different app." To be fair, Sleeper does kind of sound like a hookup app, and the logo is just kind of ambiguous face and not that different from Grindr. But you could have just, looked in the app store to see it's a football app, or I don't know, ask me what it is. My wife realized the mistake, and the poor thing has been embarrassed all morning. I'm not upset with her, and if I was in her position, I would have felt the same way, and I forgave her and hope it's a lesson where we can always remember to communicate with each other, as we've always done that so well. But here's where it's gotten dicey as a result of this morning. Apparently, a couple of the other girls in the chat were like, oh shit, I've seen my husband on there too. So now all of these women are checking their man's phones like a witch hunt and confronting them. It was kind of funny to see them all come back to the group chat and be like, oh, oops, except for one. One girl checked the phone and the app Grindr was in fact on her fiance's phone. He had a Samsung, so he changed the app photo to look like a calculator, but not the name of the app. So now there's drama going on with that. And apparently this girl is coming to stay in our home the rest of the week while he moves out. All because of a silly fantasy football app that my wife thought was a hookup app. Too long, don't read? My wife thought I was cheating on her and messaging people through a hookup app called Sleeper, which is a fantasy football app, after being convinced by one of her friends and seeing a funny message from one of my longtime friends who has a gender-neutral name. As a result, one of her friend's fiancés got ousted for being on the app Grindr because all these girls thought their significant others were cheating on them, and this girl will be living in our guest room for the next few days. Edit. Apparently, a lot of y'all think this was an ad for the app or that it was written by GPT chat and have been sending me some unnecessarily nasty and morbid DMs because I deleted all of my prior posts. Not that it matters, but I'm pretty active in a lot of car subs on here and have been posting a lot of photos of my projects, which some include potentially identifiable information. Barring the fact that I don't like to leave that shit out there on the internet, the context of this story and situation is not something I particularly want to be shared or directly identified by folks I know. Beyond that, I apologize that some of you don't particularly like my writing style or felt this indicated I was soliciting an app. Not an ad, not my intention. For what it's worth, I actually don't particularly like Sleeper as a platform, and it was what our league majority voted on using this year.
The power of fantasy football. It giveth and it taketh away. I think that story is fantastic. I guess he had to defend the validity of all of it.
He probably opened up the app. He showed his friends. It probably has a little picture of his friend in there, Riley, which Riley is very ambiguous. You don't know if that's a male or female. And if he goes by another nickname, let's say he doesn't like how ambiguous his name is, so he'd prefer to go by something different. Your friends are your friends. I don't really mesh with that.
Gross things get put in fantasy football league chats. Okay? It's the wildest thing. And if you've ever been a part of it, it's probably one of the more, and he is correct, it's just a good way to stay in touch with people that may live across the country or friends that you haven't seen in a long time. It's a good way to have that camaraderie, regardless of if you're a man or a woman. We've had family leagues. Some of that stuff gets real intense.
Oh yeah, it got intense that one year, and the person that won, I don't think people wanted them to win. But
it was a whole thing. It's so much fun. It really is a Game of Thrones if you're playing it the way some leagues play. But yeah, I guess this type of story definitely can remind you to ask questions. Have the communication before you jump on the worst case scenario and talk to your friends about it, and then have one of your friends that is a known shitster get in on it and pump you full of just
doubts.
That's terrible. If you know that that's the type of person that they are, maybe before you speak to them about the problem, talk to your partner first.
But of all these girls in that witch hunt, there was one.
Was that the shitster?
No, it wasn't the shitster themselves. It was another friend. But can you imagine? And in my mind, I picture it like this movie scene, right? I can just imagine like all the different faces of what's going on in the group chat as everything's going. And everybody's witch hunting and they're coming back and they're being like, oh, this is just a football fantasy app, everyone. And then the one girl in the group comes back and says, he actually had Grindr. And you know what? Since you're the one that started it, friend, I'm going over to your place now.
So was that our last story?
That was our last story.
Always good to end off on fun stuff.
Yes. And thought provokers. I think for me, I had to have two snooping stories. One was very, unfortunately, has a sad ending, but another one did not, kind of.
I mean, that first one didn't have a sad ending to me. She ended up avoiding a terrible marriage.
That's very true.
That's
but
great.
To find out that your partner wasn't who you expected, and for the last 7 years you were with them, that for me is where my heart goes out to them.
That can be devastating. I'm just happy again she was able to sidestep and avoid an entire bad marriage.
20 plus years of something that she wasn't expecting.
It's hard to say learn your lesson because the thing is he hid it for 7 years.
The one thing that I can say to that specific OP, I would go into some form of counseling to help you parcel through your feelings so that you don't have mistrust in future relationships that may not need a reason to be mistrusted.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to carry that stuff over.
Well, let's go back to the fantasy football because I like that one better. Their relationship's okay.
Yeah. Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. We regularly post on Mondays and Wednesdays, and we have our Damas After Dark episodes on our Patreon. Go ahead and check that out.
Duh.
Bringing back the 90s. I would also love to thank all of our Patreons for your continued support.
Yes, we love and appreciate every single one of you.
Mwah!
And as always, listeners, we look forward to hearing your opinions in the comments below. What did you think about the stories today?
I mean, I think they were all good. We could go on and on about some of these subjects.
We talk too much sometimes.
We do.
And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.
You know what I want to eat?
Probably Arby's again.
Let's go.
She's been destroying Arby's ever since we got the surgery done and her gallbladder is gone.
It's perfect. Give it to me.
We've gone from having Arby's one time in several years to like we've had it twice now within the last
This will be
week.
3.